This training video for SongSurgeon version 4 for Mac is on the loop customization features found in SongSurgeon. So I have a loop set up on my screen. Let's drag the progress indicator here to the middle of that. We can do that in a number of ways. If we just click down here, it'll reposition it, or we can grab it with our mouse and we can slide it. So once we are repositioned and inside of the loop, if we click the edit button, you'll see this dialog window open, and let's just walk through this from the top to the bottom and explain to you what's going on. Obviously L1 is simply the label. If you wanted to type in something else, you can relabel this loop. The start and the ending positions are the start and the end in terms of actual seconds, so that's 72.27 seconds and it ends at 90.23 seconds. If you have changed key or tempo, or pitch or tempo, those changes will be reflected here. So let's just do this. Let's close this window, change it to 50%. Now let's open it back up. And as you can see, it now shows 50%. So whatever changes you've applied to this loop will show here, and if you want to change them further, when this loop editing box is open, you can do that by simply clicking the little arrows here, and you could do the same thing with the pitch. Same thing with EQ. EQ is set at flat, and if you would have selected something else, then that would show up here, and we can obviously go to this list and select something else right now if we wanted to. Same thing again with vocal reduction. If you would have selected something, it would appear here, and you can change whatever it is that you had previously selected. Loop count. Loop count is set at -1, and that means that it will loop infinitely. So it will loop repeatedly and infinitely here. If you change this though, let's say you change it to 2, it will loop twice and then it will continue playing on through the end of the loop. So that's what this loop count is. If you want it to be infinite, you leave it at -1. The delay is a delay in seconds. That means to say that if you set this to something like 2, it will play. When it hits the end of the loop, it will pause for 2 seconds, and then it will jump back to the beginning and start playing again. And you can adjust this delay from 0 all the way up to 60 seconds. Another feature which I skipped over intentionally, and I want to draw it to your attention now, is the loop bypass. If you have one loop or multiple loops set up, if you select loop bypass, and then if you click OK, you will see that the shading disappears even though the loop points are still here, and that means that this becomes an inactive loop, so SongSurgeon acts like it's not there. Another way to accomplish the same thing, but it does it globally, is if you have one loop or multiple loops set up, if you click the loop bypass button down here, you'll see that it turns that one off as well as any other loops you may have set up on your screen. In this case, we only have one, so it's only turning the one off. And lastly, that leaves us with Speed Trainer. And I think Speed Trainer is such a neat feature that it deserves its own training video, so you will see a separate video on that in this same version for Mac training videos area, so take a look for it.